Good morning. In today's video, I'm covering the Specimen Paper 1 of 2023 O-Levels Biology 5090. So I'll be doing a brief overview of all the questions as well as revising some of the essential concepts which have been asked in these questions. So coming to question number 1, we have to find out the structures which are similar in both animals and plant cells. So we know that both ribosomes as well as mitochondria are present in both animal and plant cells. Cell walls are only present in plants as they are responsible for the turgidity in plants. Ribosomes are involved in protein synthesis and mitochondria help in energy production. Now, this question number 2 asks the magnification. You have to remember the magnification formula. The magnification formula is the size of image over the size of the object. So obviously in this case, in the question says that the red blood cell actually is 0.008. So this is the size of the object and this is the size of the image. So I've already done the calculation to show it to you that the size of the image 20 divided by the size of the object gives me a magnification of 2500, and thus is the answer. In question number 3, now you have to know that I don't know if you studied the chapter of sets in maths, but the whatever comes in between it shows the intersection and the things which are common in each of the set. So as we know, first I will tell you what are arthropods. Here is a pretty good example of a picture of arthropods. So you know that some of the common features of arthropods are that they all are segmented, have antennae, they have basically an outer layer of chitin on them. And the most important thing is that they are invertebrates. So some of the important characteristics of some of them are that the worms such as millipedes and centipedes have numerous countless legs, whereas others such as insects have minimum of 6 legs. So now when we come over here, so the you have, and I'll just tell you that the point A summarizes the common overlapping things of all the three types of animals present in the arthropod family. They all have 3 pairs of legs. They all have 3 main regions of the body which are segmented, and they all have at least 1 pair of antenna. Now, we in question number 4, you should know that the correct answer will be C, because we need to that active transport and osmosis can occur in only the presence of a membrane. Whereas diffusion, as I've already explained, that diffusion is a normal process. Even for example, when you spray a perfume in one corner of the room and the scent of the perfume travels to the other corner of the room, there isn't any membrane present, is it? So how does it travel? It travels through the air from a region of high concentration to an area of low concentration, with or without a membrane. Now we you need to know that this question number 5 asks the water potential which is closest. So for example, if we take that the original potato cells per concentration was 2%. So if it has decreased by about 1.9% or 1.8%, by osmosis, the size of the potato cell should have increased. However, for this question, you need to note that the increase in length cannot be greater than 1 millimeter. So it could have been either 31 or 29. However, as you can see, we have to take the least size increase in size. And over here, this increase in size is 3. Here over here, the decrease in size is 3 millimeter. Here the decrease in size is 4 millimeter. Thus, B is the winner. Now, in question 6, he says that it's salt. Sea water is extremely salty, so there's an extreme high concentration of salt, and there is also obviously very less water. So osmosis only occurs when there is a transfer of water molecules from a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential. So if it's been flooded, if the basically the soil root cells have been flooded with seawater, there won't be any osmosis because there won't be greater water potential outside than inner side. However, there can be still be the uptake of ions because of the processes of acidic diffusion and active transport. Now, question number 7 basically tells us to just break down the larger molecules, which are the polysaccharide structures, into the main simpler substances, which out of which they are made up of. So starch is made up of glucose. I just like to tell you that so the answer for question number 6 is that uptake of water no longer occurs, whereas uptake of ions occurs. So the answer is C. Now, in question number 7, starch is made up of glucose, protein of amino acids, lipids of fatty acids, and glycerol, which help to make triglycerides and further accumulate as lipids in the body, and DNA are made up of nucleotides, which I discussed before as well: adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine. Now, in question number 8, in the lock and key model, I already described that the active site is always on the enzyme, and the active site, the enzyme is the lock. So the lock always has the active site on it, and the substrate is the key. So option B is correct. In question number 9, we need to know that in order to be able to photosynthesize, what conditions do plants need? Plants need adequate amount of light, oxygen, and temperature should be moderate, about 25 to 30 degrees. So in option C and D, there's ice present. So the temperature is completely wrong for the plants to grow below 0 degrees. And the problem in A and B, if we compare A and B, the source of light or the lamp is placed far away from the aquatic plant as compared to B. So the best choice is B. Now, in question number 10, we just need to know that we have to compare X, Y, and Z. So why do yellow leaves occur? Yellow leaves occur when there is an absence of photosynthesis because of deficiency of magnesium ion. Z would occur when there have been no nutrients present supplied, and X would occur when there little growth, means that there have been nutrients but not the main nutrient supplied for the growth of the plant. So X has deficiency of nitrates, Y has deficiency of magnesium ions, and Z has deficiency of water. Now we need to know the factors affecting rate of transpiration. We know that humidity has an inverse relationship with transpiration. The greater the amount of wind, the greater the transpiration, the greater humidity, the greater the temperature, the greater the amount of transpiration. So if there is reduced wind, obviously the rate of transpiration will decrease, and if the humidity will increase, the rate of transpiration will decrease. So the option is B. Now in question number 12, scurvy. For scurvy develops due to deficiency of vitamin C. We eat basically citrus fruits. For anemia, we it is deficiency of hemoglobin, so we eat meat. And to prevent rickets, we need to take sources which are rich in vitamin D. So D is the option. In question 13, this is the liver, which has been shown the largest organ of the human body, and this is the portal vein which is coming. So after 3 to 4 hours, we all know that the liver metabolizes all the food in the body, and there's a high concentration of glucose and amino acids supplying to it. Now, in question number 14, we all know that humans basically release aerobic steam as carbon dioxide in the air from the lungs. So the only option can be 4%, as zero. No, it's not 14%. 14% is way too much. We intake 0.4% and excrete 4% CO2 in the body, out of the body. The products of aerobic respiration are carbon dioxide and water. We do, of course, the products of aerobic respiration. So we just have to, it's a simple choice over here. Now in question number 16, we have to apply the formula pi r square h. Pi r square h formula is basically applicable because this is a cylindrical shape. They say the oil drop has moved about 24 millimeters to the left. 24 millimeters to the left depicts the distance it had to travel, and pi r square h. So they have given the diameter. That diameter we'll be dividing it by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. We just apply the formula 3 times 0.5 square times the height, which is 24 millimeter. It would give us about 18. Then we divide it by 30 by the time period, because it is the time left to fill the basically tube. it gives us an answer of 0.6, and we divide it over 20 since in the question they have asked us per gram, and 0.6 is the answer for 20 grams. So you divide 0.6 by 20 and you get 0.03 is the answer. Now I've already done all this calculation in my head. Now, what is the sequence of contractions in one heart? I'm sorry, I'm not basically just sharing or basically encircling all the questions, but I'm doing this to help you get a rapid overview and so to minimize the delay. So one heartbeat, there is the left, and basically you need to know that there is first filling of blood and then there is ejection of blood out of the heart. So obviously the right and left atrium first fill up with blood. We have, so for question number 17, both the left and right atrium first basically contract, and the left and right ventricle contract, and after all of them have contracted, then the pause comes. So the correct answer to this is basically D. Now for question number 12, what is this shown? This is, you need to know that the special characteristic of veins are that they have valves in them to prevent the backflow of blood. And just for your information, that if these black valves basically become incompetent, then there is pooling of blood in the veins. It leads to deep vein thrombosis, which can further lead to a embolism or basically heart attack. So now, what is the purpose of these valves? We know that oxygenated blood comes from the heart to the brain, so we need to stop the backflow of the oxygenated blood back towards the heart. So once, once blood travels from over here to here, so the valves are like in this in shape, and after they have traveled over here, the blood has traveled over here. We need to prevent the blood from going back over here. So now the blood can't go back from here to here. So direction one is the heart and direction two is the brain. Why it is the heart? Because this is the only option in which they've shown direction one is the heart. Now we all know that basically the plasma contains more protein molecules, and the only difference between plasma and tissue fluid is that the tissue fluid does not contain protein molecules. So the answer will be C. Now in question number 20, active immunity. Active immunity is the type of immunity which is obtained by giving artificial injections or antibody. So obviously the answer will be B. Question number 21. The first we need to know the organism that causes malaria. It's Plasmodium malaria. So Plasmodium is a parasite. It is microscopic. It is not sexually transmitted. So this option is eliminated and B is the answer. Question 21. HIV is an STD, sexually transmitted disease. So the best which basically thing which we can do is use condoms during sexual intercourse. It reduces HIV transmission by 90%. Now the urinary system, I already have told you that the organ which makes urine is the kidney. The bladder only stores the urine. What carries the urine? It is the ureter. What holds the urine? It is the bladder. The bladder is like a sac. It has a capacity of about 1 liter, which can be basically extended to 1.5 liter. And what removes the urine? It is the urethra. What is a reflex action? Reflex action is an action which is protective in nature. First, that is the main definition, and it is an involuntary action. So jumping when hearing a loud noise is not an involuntary action, it is a voluntary action. And it does nothing to basically stop the loud noise. For example, if a person would of I would say blow a large horn or a trumpet on your ears, you could, I would say that running away could be a reflex action, but jumping would not be. Question number 25. Where a person goes in a room with low intensity. So obviously the pupil has to dilate. How does the pupil dilate? When the pupil only dilates when the ciliary muscles contract and the suspensory ligament relaxes. As well, and we also talked whenever the circular muscles contract, the pupil decreases in size. In this case, we needed to increase in size. So the circular muscles always, when relaxed, the radial muscles contract. They are antagonistic in action. So the correct answer is B. Now, when controlling body temperature in whenever there is increased temperature, there is increased blood flow, vasodilation occurs, and when there is decreased temperature or there is decreased temperature in the surrounding, we need to conserve the heat, so there is vasoconstriction. So, which structures are involved? The blood vessels definitely are involved. Hypothalamus and the muscles are involved. Obviously, they contract, the sweat glands don't. And why is the hypothalamus involved? Because the hypothalamus actually is a master gland. It controls the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland does not control the hypothalamus. So B is the answer. Glucagon is basically adrenaline. It converts a glycogen to glucose. Insulin converts glucose into glycogen. Role of oxygen. What is phototropism? Phototropism is the phenomenon in which, for example, a plant is in shade, so the plant needs sunlight to grow. So it's a adaptation of the plant to grow longer so that it can easily be able to reach the sunlight. So more oxygen. The correct answer is B. More oxygen is distributed on the shaded side of the shoot so that the shaded side can grow longer and eventually reach the light. Mitosis. We knew that mitosis is exactly identical cellular replication. In all of these options, only B is one in which exactly identical chromosomes are aligned with each other in the same position. Now, question number 30. Where does pollen land? Pollen always lands on the stigma. The answer is D. Condition needs for germination of seeds. We need to know that always water and oxygen are the main requirements for germination to occur. One matches a hormone. LH. LH is the luteinizing hormone. Luteinizing hormone stimulates ovulation, and ovulation is the release of eggs. B is the answer. Discontinuous variation are those characteristics which are only basically determined genetically or they can't be changed. For example, the blood group of the person, the sex, the age of a person. So answer is A, which we all know that a chromosome contains DNA and gene is a section. Yeah, so its answer is A because a gene is a part of a DNA. There are many genes molecules. See, gene is just a segment in the DNA. It must be heterozygous. Heterozygous means like, for example, capital A small a or capital B small b. Two letters which are not added basically homozygous to each other. So they say that a person suffer from disease from which is caused by recessive allele. So we can see that both 5 and 7 are female, are according to the key are females which do not suffer from the disease. If they would have been homozygous, for example, small a, they would have suffered from the disease. The only way they could not have suffered from the disease is that they are capital A small a. Question number 6, we come to the topic of uh, basically genetic resistance. So why do humans modify crops? Obviously for their own benefit. So as they want to produce a higher crop yield output. So they genetically modify the crops to give them resistance to diseases. Question 37, biodiversity. So the producers, we all know that the producers are the basically initiate the food chain, and they are always present in the greatest of quantity in this pyramid of biomass. The D is the correct option, which represents the plants. The which cycle depends on bacteria. Obviously, decomposition depends on bacteria and fungi. No other option in all these options depends on bacteria or fungi. Question number 39. Population changes in animal plankton occur after similar changes in plant plankton because the animals feed on the plants. Which description fits this statement? Oh yeah. So if you clearly see the graph, you can see basically rises and dips over here in population. You can see that the plant plankton is represented by basically the dotted lines, and the animal plankton is represented by the clear fixed line. So the two populations clearly resemble each other. Yeah, whenever the plant plankton basically decreases in population, the animal plankton Also decreases in population. A reasonable interpretation from this graph could be that there can be other interpretations as well. They can be the most reasonable one seems to be that the two populations are interrelated and the animal one feeds on the plant. Question number 40. When untreated sewage flow, why does the oxygen concentration decrease? Obviously, there's an increase in the number of bacteria. They release CO2, the decomposition process occurs. That's why there's a decrease in oxygen. Thank you for the video. I hope you would have learned a lot and please give me your feedback.